Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of 1990's Represent. We're starting off our third cycle of 1994 with an album. And this episode, we're talking about Dookie by Green Day. One of the most, I think, iconic albums of obviously of 1994, but the 90s in general. Kind of like a very seminal album of that time. Absolutely love this album. I've listened to it a couple times this year. I want to say I picked this up in I first heard the album in 1994, but I don't think I actually owned it until 1995. I think it was probably part of because in 1995, as I've said in other videos, specifically relating to music, 1995 is when I first started taking music very seriously. Like, I got into with like Alanis Morissette, Garbage, Foo Fighters, bands like that. But I remember signing up for Columbia House like the fall of 1995, like September. Maybe it was like September, October. I don't remember exactly when, but it was like that fall. And I got the big three that I always talk about, which are Alanis, Garbage, and the Foo Fighters. But then, of course, you needed like five more albums to kind of. I think it was eight for like $1. Dookie was one of those albums, and I think like Regulate by Warren G was another one. But kind of needed some albums to fill out, and I was just like, oh yeah, I remember like Green Day. Green Day was cool because I had listened to it the summer before. Really liked it, and there was like really good music videos off this album as well. But yeah, got it in 1995. I still own the album somewhere. It's probably like in a box somewhere right now. But I also remember in like either like it was either 2008 or 2009. I was working at a restaurant and was talking to like one of the bartenders, and he's like, this is like before streaming was like really like everywhere, and you could just listen to it whenever you wanted. I was talking about music with him, and he was just like, oh man, I haven't listened to Dookie by Green Day in a long time, and like I remember I'm like, hey, I still own that album, so I think I like let him borrow it or something like that. But like I said, before streaming became like really popular or became like I think Pandora was like a year. Like I think we started using like Pandora like either like the year later, where you would pick an artist and you get songs from that artist as well as like related bands. But yeah, we were talking about Green Day, and I'm like, oh, he's like haven't heard it for a while, so I like let him borrow it, and that was like the last time I listened to it like for a while. Like I want to say like before like earlier this year. So I listened to it earlier this year, and then I listened to it again, kind of in preparation for this video. But we're going to get into our notes. So I have my notes about the album. We're going to get through those and discuss the track list and all the kind of stuff that we do with these albums. So we have Dookie by Green Day, first released February 1st, 1994. I don't think I listened to it until maybe like May or June, because I remember my friend had the album, and I think and played it, and I was looking at the cover. The cover's iconic. We'll get to that in a moment. But there was a song, like a lyric in Longview, where he's like, "You're effing lazy," and I was kind of surprised it didn't have like the kind of like parental advisory sticker. But I also don't think Smash by Offspring had that sticker either. That album came out same year, and I think parental advisory at that time was because I now know there's stuff that's labeled explicit on like Spotify and Apple Music, where it's just like cussing. Like it's not really like adult content like you would have in like gangster rap albums where we're talking about like killing people and stuff like that, like they do in gangster. We're talking about like gang activity and stuff. So I think it was like I didn't really realize the nuance of the parental advisory thing. So like there are some cusses, like some swears on this album, but Longview was the first song I heard off of it. Four singles came off of this album. First one being Longview, then Basket Case, Welcome to Paradise, and When I Come Around. I think Welcome to Paradise was off of one of their previous albums. I think it was like maybe like Kerplunk or something like that. This was the first album that I had heard from them. Let me see here. Because they had released two other albums prior to this, but this is the one where they kind of got a lot of mainstream success. Let me actually just bring up their kind of discography so I can see here. So yeah, because I know they did like a couple albums prior to this, but this was kind of one where it really got popular with like the mainstream here. So yeah, they did 39 slash Smooth in 1990. They did Kerplunk in 1991, and then Dookie came after that, and then kind of everything after Dookie has been generally pretty popular. Like I remember Christmas of 1995, I got Insomniac. It's got Brain Stew on it. I think it's called Brain Stew. But Insomniac, very good. And then basically it was like kind of from Dookie onward, they became or were pretty much kind of well cemented in the mainstream. So came out I said I think it was, let me see what it was here. I think Welcome to Paradise was like a re-record. They did the song again, and then the final single off it is When I Come Around. First song I heard of the album, I mentioned it a little bit ago, was Longview, because I think I was like hanging out with my friend and he like put the CD in, and I was surprised that there was like some cussing on there. Not surprised necessarily, but more surprised that it didn't have like a parental advisory sticker to it. But let me see here. The, Basically, it came out. It's essentially a punk album, or I would classify it as punk. It's more pop punk, but it came out kind of. Music definitely changed with Kurt Cobain passing away. This came out, a few months before that, but it was kind of like this shift where a lot of the, like, at least the grunge music, like leading up to that, like Alice in Chains, Nirvana, of course, Stone Temple Pilots, Soundgarden, was a little more, I won't say downbeat, but it wasn't as upbeat necessarily, at least like instrumentally. And this came out and kind of was very, again, it's punk, but it's very poppy. There's just a lot of really good instrumentalization on the album, and definitely more upbeat than some of the kind of the grunge stuff that came out like right before it. Let's see here. It's definitely one of kind of the defining albums of the 90s. I don't know where I would rank it if I had to rank like all the best albums of the 90s, but it's definitely up there. It's a great way to kind of just, again, even though it's not a debut, a lot of people didn't hear their first two records until obviously after they kind of blew up with this one here. Let's see here. Like, again, it's punk, but it's definitely more poppy. But it also brought more attention to kind of the punk genre. There's a quote here from Pop Matters I want to bring up here. Let me just. It's an interesting quote about like the composition of kind of the album here. Release, it wasn't release. It was definitely the kind of like recording process of it, and how there's just a bunch of different. There we go. Pulled down here, but just a bunch of kind of things that they were talking about, like depression, maybe not depression, but like anxiety and like sexual like relations and things like that. Here we go. So the content is basically about just Pop Matters summarized it very well. It says it's quote a record that speaks of the frustrations, anxieties, and apathy of young people. So I definitely feel like I was kind of like definitely like in the target demographic for that album. Like some of the themes of the album are like anxiety, panic attacks, boredom, domestic abuse, like stuff like that. So stuff that kind of younger people would be kind of like thinking about and things like that. So it came out when I said I was going into my final year of what would have been what's called middle school up here, but it was junior high essentially. So it came out between, for me, I was still in seventh grade when it came out, but I didn't really listen to it until the summer where I was heading into eighth grade. So I definitely feel like the album kind of was, like I said, I was the target demographic for this album, and it's still an incredible album. After like it's like 30 going on like 30th anniversary this year. The album cover, we just need to talk about kind of just the cover of the album, like right over that way there. One of the most iconic, I think, album covers kind of all time. There's just so much going on in this drawing. You have like so many like details to like look at. There's definitely a lot going on on that album cover. And I definitely feel that it's kind of one of the like I said, the more iconic covers, probably at least in the '90s, and probably one of the most iconic album covers um, of all time, just because of how kind of chaotic it is and how much stuff is going on. And like, it's if you have like a high res image of it, it's all like very much like probably like colored pencil. At least that's like the way I think they were doing that intentionally, make it look like it was like maybe not necessarily a kid's drawing, but it definitely has kind of like that kind of vibe to it. With where like if you look at like a high res image of it, it's very much like not crayon necessarily, but like color pencil stuff like that. Just like the artwork on it is really classic. So we got that. Came out to basically critical acclaim. Let me bring up some of the reviews here for it. A lot of good reviews. So we're going to just start off here. All Music has it at a 5 out of 5. Alternative Press has it at 5 out of 5. Billboard has it at a 4.5 out of 5. Chicago Sun-Times has it at a looks like a 3.5 out of 5. Another 3.5 out of 5 from the Chicago Tribune. NME has it at a 7 out of 10. Pitchfork has it at 8.7 out of 10. Rolling Stone Album Guide has it at a 5 out of 5. Spin Alternative Record Guide has it at an 8 out of 10. And Village Voice has it at an A minus. So overall, just incredibly good reviews for this album. And some of the songs on the album are just, some of them are iconic. I remember there was a high school with somebody, and they were in their own little band. And I remember one day, like after lunch, they had kind of just, they were only playing guitars, but they set up like I think they like plugged their amp into like a wall. This is like outside of the lunchroom, but like right near like the library or media center, whatever they called it. And they were playing when I come around, and they're doing a very good job of it. Just the dun 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 dun. Like some of the songs are just very iconic, but also have instrumentalization that isn't that difficult, but it definitely sometimes like less is more when you're making music, and I feel like album is a perfect example of that. And now we're going to get into our track listing here. It's not a very long album. I think comes in at like just little under 40 minutes, so a very easy listen. First time I listened to it in a while this year was on a commute to work. It basically takes about like 30 to 40 minutes to get to work from here. So put that on and listen to it one morning, and I was like, yes, this is definitely got a lot of good kind of nostalgic vibes out of listening to it again. But let's pull up our track listing here, if I can pull down to it. Again, a little under 39 or a little under 40 minutes, so 39 minutes and 35 seconds. Track 1 is Burnout. Track 2 is Having a Blast. Track 3 is Chump. Track 4 is Longview. Longview's got that just great, I'm assuming it's bass, but just like the bow 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 no bow no bow no bow no bow no bow no bow no. So it's got a great just like bass line with that. Longview, one of the better albums on the track, or tracks on the album. Might be one of my favorites. Track 5 is Welcome to Paradise. That was really good. Track 6 is Pulling Teeth. Track 7 is Basket Case, another one of the most iconic songs on the album. I don't really know out of the 4 like singles or songs would be my favorite. I'm like, it's probably between Longview and Basket Case, I think. But again, track 7 is Basket Case. Track 8 is She. Track 9 is Sassafras Roots. Track 10 is When I Come Around. That one, again, like I mentioned earlier, very iconic. Very kind of basic guitar work, but it's very effective. Like I said, kids I went to high school with were just jamming to this song outside the library one day. Very cool. So again, that's track 10. Track 11 is Coming Clean. Track 12 is Amina Sleepus. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. Track 13 is In the End. And track 14 is FOD. So again, 14 tracks, 39 minutes, 35 seconds. Like I said earlier, a very easy listen. I had a blast listening to this back in 1994. My friend had the album, and then I picked up my own copy like a year and a half later or so, or whenever I signed up for Columbia House. Don't know how I rank their other albums. I've only really listened to this one and Insomniac. I've listened to like bits and pieces of some of their other albums. It'll be interesting what the fans think of like how this one actually like rank or how it like ranks in with their other albums. But I still feel this album is incredibly solid, very iconic. One of the best albums of the '90s and easily one of the best albums of 1994. I always have a blast when I listen to it. And then Insomniac, I got that for Christmas like the next year. That one's also incredibly solid as well. But that is going to do it for this episode. Again, we're in our third cycle of 1994. We'll be doing a movie next, moving into a video game, and then, of course, moving into 1995 and beyond. But that's going to do it for now. So, again, remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe. We'll see you again next time. Thanks again for watching. Take care and have a good one. See ya.